Welcome into the Bobby Carpenter Show, and it is Thursday. Like, I don't know if you realize this, but we have a game this Saturday,
Oh,
a week, another game, week, and then Michigan. So we are basically kind of 2 weeks and 2 days out, if you will, from that team up north. So that's an exciting prospect. Before you got that, you've got Indiana, which is going to be big, and we'll talk about that a little today, probably more so on the show tomorrow. And the game of the task at hand, playing Indiana, or not Indiana, rather playing Northwestern up in Evanston, Illinois. This game is going to be in Wrigleyville. It'll be in Chicago. And so I want to kind of start right here. We got a huge show for you planned again. Ben Stevens is going to join. He's always great. He's going to sit there and tell us, make us smarter bettors, make us some money this weekend. And so he's always great at being able to do that. But I want to start with this. Playing in a baseball field, have you ever done that? Have you ever been a part of it? Like, what are some of the issues that you can have?
well, you know what? Now that I'm reminiscing, I did play in the league, but it was on the grass and then the infield. Not really any issues.
We talk about this with AJ a little bit.
We did. And then I also played, that might have been, I don't know if it was Miami. I don't know. I know I did in the league once. And then at the Air Force Academy, off we go into the wild blue yonder. We played in the Diamond Walnut San Francisco Bowl versus Virginia Tech when they had those really good running backs back in 2002. We played in the Giants Stadium. And I believe we were both on the same sideline.
Same sideline, yeah.
Yeah, back then. I do not like that because you might be on one end and you're like looking at your coaches giving you the signal all the way over, like they're standing on the 50 and their guys are right next to them and they're just signaling the stuff, right? I did not like that because then you had to run further off the field, like you had to get way over.
Oh yeah, getting on and off the field, that's a challenge. I mean, I'm sure they give a little more grace in those situations like that, but it's going to be all filled in.
Yeah, and ours was too at that time. So
there's grass on it.
Yeah, they had grass on it, and it was.
So give me some insight into that. Yeah, give me some insight into that because that's what Ohio State's going to be dealing with is now this grass on the infield, and I know they've been doing it now for a little bit of time, but I can't imagine that it's going to be the firmest turf, and so potentially any issues that you could have with doing something like that.
Well, it did get chewed up quite a bit in that area, but it also had this is in December. It's not like it's super cold out there, but they had some rain and moisture on their field, which caused it to get chewed up a lot because you got the difference of baseball and football is you got 22 guys on the field at a time. Whereas if you're in right field where this is played, right, this is literally going from right field into the third base dugout. There's one dude over there hitting a ball. Right. So it's not like he's just chewing up the grass and there's a lot of different stuff. You got 22 guys now on this kind of turf, and the turf hasn't built up the resiliency, that a normal grass field that handles football, those roots go a little bit deeper when you create that much friction to be able to withstand that. So I don't know if that's true or not. I just made that up.
So you got to quit leaning on your table. Your camera's going to make me sick watching you. It's like you like your San Francisco.
Well, I don't know what to do with my hands here, Bob. Well, I don't know what to do with my elbows.
I'll smack it on your table. All right.
I apologize.
You got to figure it out.
I just get fired. Well, I get fired up about it. I remember that game. I had a lot of tackles in that game.
That's why that's why Ohio State offered you.
Yeah,
is that the one with the pulled groin where you dragging your leg around?
No, that was terrible. That was San Diego. Okay, that was before that game. I actually kind of rested up for that one. Anyways, I digress. But they'll be fine. That was back in the day, Bob, when we had the screw-in cleats. And I just remembered, like, when we went through the walkthrough, you had molded, right? And then you had the screw-ins. I was like, no, I'm going straight screw-ins on this one. Metal tips. Yeah. Metal tips. Remember those?
Yeah. I don't know if they do the metal tips anymore. And there's not very many screw-ins because you can't wear them on turf. But here's the little inside baseball, ironically, because they're playing on the baseball field, is most football field Schlegs, they punch them and then they'll put sand through them to help firm them up. And that's what gives them the density so the grass isn't flying out. Because no other sport are there 9 or 10 300-pound dudes leaning into each other, pressing on each other, digging in. Like, that's the reality of it. Like, that's the difference. Like, well, I play baseball, I play soccer. I'm like, yeah, you got a guy that's 180, maybe 230 pounds running around independently, which is fine. That's a big difference from two 300-pound dudes leaning and driving and churning up. And especially because it's right down the middle of the hashes. NFL is even tighter than college. And so that's why they have to put that sand in there. They try to firm up the base and try to make it a little better so that it's a much firmer surface. So I doubt that they've done that. And so you might see, Schlegs, some of that field getting churned up and then guys sliding in and out on that thing.
You know, the only sport, when you said that, Bob, that would be anywhere comparable would be rugby's 15, rugby 15s. But again, I believe that field is significantly wider.
It is wider.
So it's moving. And once they get through the scrum, like that's really it. And they're just running straight forward. The difference that you're talking about is dude on dude, bam, driving into the turf, boom, walking like that, falling down. I know my camera was going everywhere there. I had to give an example.
Is it on your lap? Like, what are you doing right now?
No, it's on my table. It's on my table. I love it. This is great. This is great entertainment for myself.
That's good. I'm glad that we're able to entertain you. What do you got going on at the house right now? What we got going on over there?
Let me tell you something, buddy.
Okay.
I had the pleasure of having Carpenter Heating and Cooling. I got to stare at your van, your beautiful mug right there with your nice hair. Look at your hair. You got a hat on? I can't tell. No, you don't have a hat on today. But your hair is nice, Bob. I wish my hair looked like that. But anyways, I had them come out and, sometimes they say, you need to replace your furnace. I'm going to get another year. Well, our furnaces were from 1988. So we got the full use of them. And I believe a year and a half ago, I replaced the basement one. And we had to replace the one in the attic. And we got a lot of people coming out for Thanksgiving. So poof, David Copperfield, get on a call, talk to Josh. Boom, I had Brian and Greg out here doing a phenomenal job. And now, I like it cold in here. I set the thermostat at 60 because normally I'm at the farm by myself. But when you get ladies here and children, they like it a little warmer. I'm like, you can always put more clothes on, people, right? Natural, propane ain't free. So anyways, they came over and did a phenomenal job and left. And now I got the thermostats where it's on my phone and poof, David Copperfield, I'm flying in. I can set it at 50. And then when I'm coming in, boom, set it at 60. Now, when they come in, set it at 69.
On the Doomajig, you can drive in on your
jig.
Yeah.
I'm flying in on the Doomajig because you got the Wi-Fi on the airplane. I know it's going to be a land in 45 minutes. I got about an hour. Bam, bam, bam. Set the thermostat. Come in, nice and cozy.
I thought, didn't we just replace one of yours like a year or two ago?
That's what I said, a year and a half ago. I got the bottom done.
Okay, the bottom, top, soft bottom, top. Diddy likes his house. The warmer, the better, Schlegs. Said you want to get hot, get those nice sweat, those body oils
Get you
going.
loosen up.
Yeah.
What's that? Oh man, they used to sell those, right? You used to have all these ladies going around, selling those incense and the smelling stuff. That was really good for
Snuggies.
I don't know. Yeah, Snuggies are big, or those water resistant love blankets.
Yeah, that's key. You want to make sure you have those. Toss those down, Schlegs, on the bed at any time.
So hey, Bob, I appreciate your guys. By the way, they did
okay. Well, that's good. I'm glad that you're digging in, that you love the dudes, and they're doing a good job for you. That's take a great deal of pride in that. Make sure that they do a good job. So it's Thursday. It's Ohio State. Big can of polish day. The guys look good on Tuesday, Schlegs. Wednesday, obviously, weather's a little bit rough today, and I'm curious to see inside versus outside how they deal with that. I think it should be pretty good up there in Chicago. I'm not positive. I know it's been a little bit rainy, but I'm just trying to think of things as I go through this game with Northwestern. They're mildly better than Purdue. They're not anything to really write home about as far as what they're going to be bringing to the table, but I'm just trying to think of issues that could potentially arise when you're going up there and you're playing at noon. Go up, win the game, GTFO. Get out of there. It's a Northwestern team that, they're sitting here at 4-5. They've been okay. They're not the greatest team in the world. They've split a lot of games. Somehow they're able to beat Maryland. They beat Purdue in double overtime. This is a team that, like, they're not going to lay down and die, and you're going to get your best stuff. And I was listening to Ryan talk earlier on the coaches show, and Purdue opened up. They took the ball and had a long drive in the first quarter, and it chewed up a lot of clock. And anytime that happens, it's if you're going to take the ball, I think they're trying to send a message. They want to get through their game script. They probably feel like they've got their best stuff to be able to try to set the tempo early. And it's tough because you're going to see a lot of things that you probably hadn't seen before, stuff you didn't practice, and you don't have time unless you're able to get off the field to be able to make those adjustments quickly. Like, coaches can call different stuff, but you're still trying to figure out what they're doing. And so I'm curious what Northwestern is going to bring to the table, because we saw Purdue do that. Just about everybody's doing it now. And if you can hold them to a field goal or get off the field with a punt, that's ideal. Hopefully you don't give up a touchdown in that first drive defensively, but it's hard. And Purdue also did some 5-down stuff. They did some different looks in that way. And so it's something that you haven't seen. And so you've had to make those in-game adjustments on the fly.
Yeah, it's going to be, we saw at the beginning of that Purdue game, they were kind of running like a 3-4 with a jack, and everybody's like, oh man, why are we doing that? Like, listen, man, like, you got to test stuff out. You got to have live bullets. And with the way that Purdue wanted to attack on offense, it was a bunch of beater concepts, right? So gave him a little bit of look. You had some things. I'm not real big on blocking up a guy and making him two-gap everything across the board. If you're going to run that, I like everybody to have their individual gaps and build the wall, more of a true 3-4 style, Bob. But they did some things.
Like, shoot gaps, let's make some plays.
Right. So I think that, and again, you can shoot a gap when you know it's your gap. Hard to do that when it's like, oh, what gap does that guy have? So I just say, I say all that to say this: they're going to have a wrinkle. They're also not playing on the crown. Remember, like, Northwestern's field originally was like this. It was
they're playing on Wrigley, but Northwestern, they've got a nice crown. So hey, you run to the perimeter, you're always running downhill.
Exactly. So, they don't really have that. They always grew it out a little longer for these type of fast games. I think it's going to be
real 70s look. Get a nice shag going there, Schlegel.
Nice shag. I think it's going to be fast, but here's the thing about Northwestern. They're always overachievers, right? That's a fact. And are they going to have some nuances that we haven't particularly seen at this phase of the year? Probably not, especially from a team when you're just trying to win games. Like, you got to throw it out there because you just got to win. I'm not expecting a lot from them. I'm expecting this from us. It's, how do we just go out there and play base? What does that look like? Can we affect the quarterback? Can we stop the run? And I'm talking defensively. Offensively, it's just you have to execute. And it goes back to the same things we talked about last week, Bob, of high execution, no turnovers, affect the quarterback, play great special teams, and let's see, go out there and do what you're supposed to do versus a Northwestern in a unique situation playing at Wrigley. Like, that's it.
It is, and people are excited about it. Ryan talked about it on Tuesday. We'll play at noon, we'll play at night, we'll play on a baseball field. We're going to go out there and play. We got plenty of other things to worry about. So they're going to be ready to go. It's going to be an 11 a.m. local kick. I think that's the first one Ohio State's had this year for that. You're only going out for a day, and it's a 40-minute flight, 50-minute flight up there to O'Hare. So I can't imagine that's going to matter too much. Schlegs, any insight on that?
Well, here's the thing. We've heard a lot of guys this week talking about they like playing at noon because they just go in there, handle their business, and go home and have a little bit of the afternoon. It's not going to necessarily matter. You might have to wake up. That's where the flux comes in, right? It's like, when do you have to wake them up? You'll probably let them sleep kind of normal, and you'll kind of speed up the processes of your meetings as opposed to adjusting the wake-up time. But those things are very easily done if you get there early enough to have those meetings on the Friday, as opposed to even a Saturday morning and just making those brief. As far as the flight and the logistics, like, these guys are used to it because they still fly to Michigan. Like, that's not Michigan State. That's not that far. They bus to Michigan because it's only a 3-hour drive, but they still fly to all these other places that are actually closer. They're used to this. It's going to be the same thing that they've been doing.
All right, so you heard it here first from Anthony Schlegel. It's going to be the same thing on the Doom-a-Jig that they've always been doing. All right, before we get out of here, attention athletes and parents. Protect what matters most with Export mouth guards. Trusted by professional athletes, designed by NHL team dentists. Export mouth guards are scientifically tested to absorb high-impact hits to protect both your brain and your grill. Export mouth guards feature 3 layers of advanced protection, patented use of carbon fiber. They 3D print that thing so it fits snug right up in there for better protection, better performance, max comfort, clear communication, so you can focus on your game, not on your gear. Don't take chances with your safety. Visit exportguards.com/Bobby today to save 15% on your order. Export, protect what matters most. More of the Bobby Carpenter Show coming up next.
The Big Play Sports Network. Download the free app today to watch all of your favorite hosts on demand.
I'm Garage Beer, and this is Bobby Carpenter.
Garage Beer. Beer flavored beer.
Beef with an F? Okay, my bad. It's crisp and cool, and it doesn't taste like... I'm Bobby Carpenter. I drink in garages because my wife says I don't belong inside. If you like a cold breeze on your bag, drink Garage Beer. It's American, and so can you. Garage Beer. Beer flavored beer. Welcome back in here to the Bobby Carpenter Show. And Schlegs, when you lose, sometimes it's tough. But actually, before we get into this, because we got a great story that we can get into about a head coach in college football and what winning and losing is all about. But I mean, we've got the camo on. It's hunting season. We got to give the folks an update. I know that they're curious to see what we've seen out there in the rut. I mean, have we found anything? I mean, are you peeing on trees? Do you use the scent lock? What's going on?
Yeah, I mean, I use all that stuff. I really like the ozonics. Have I been out, Bob? No, I haven't. I've been working my face off, guys. I mean, you got to pay the piper, and I think I've probably been out 3 or 4 times. It's going crazy. I'll just be getting some coffee right behind the house. There's Joe just kind of looking around, just like, what's going on? Boom, buck. I'm like, oh my gosh, I need to be out there. But hey, I do a show in the middle of the day. I run the armory, for the rest of the day, and we're slinging striking machines. So, there's just a lot of stuff going on. I try to catch them on camera. When I do get an opportunity, I'll go out there. I'm very particular, and I just want to take a mature deer, a mature buck. As we get closer to Thanksgiving, if I haven't had anything, I'll probably take a doe, because then we'll be feeding some people in here, right? So that's kind of where it is, but it's a great time to be in the woods. It's so fun. They're just running all over the place. They're making noises. They're doing things, National Geographic style. It's great.
I thought deer hunting took place early in the morning.
Or in the evening.
Or
during the day. Because during the rut, they don't sleep. They're just cruising. They're looking for the ladies, right? And that's the point, man. It's all day.
We'd always go out in the blinds early in the morning. Like my dad would always say, you get the best deer in the AM. So we'd go out when it was still borderline dark, 5:30, 6 o'clock, sit up in the deer stand and wait for them to start cruising through. So that kind of eliminates the need to be able to have to do something else.
Well, if I could do it, if I had the luxury, I literally would just go out at, because sun comes up 7, 10-ish now. I always like to be in the stand an hour before shoot light, and I'll get in there probably 30 to 45 minutes before you can actually see. And I just like to go in there and, basically pray and take a nap. It's great because that way I'm not moving around.
So you're gonna blind on the ground, or you elevated in this scenario?
I'm always elevated. I like being elevated. That's my favorite.
You ever worry about falling out of the tree?
No, you got a safety harness. I got a great company, Malta. Yeah, I got a safety harness. Because you strap it, you put it in the back. That way, if you did fall out, boom, you're safe. So
That sounds kind of
Here in
soft,
Ohio.
Schlegs. I mean, I've never even heard of such a thing.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I got people depending on me, Bob. Like as you get older, I mean, when I was
That's what life insurance is for.
yeah, exactly. I don't, but I also don't want to. I also want to squat heavy and deadlift heavy. I can't do that when I don't have my legs.
Your
You know,
wheelchair.
if I fell out of a tree, it'd be terrible. Okay, so hey, safety first. Now I will say this: a neighbor had a young man. His name was Briar.
Wait, Briar, like Briar Patch?
I don't know what they named him after, but he was a super cool little kid, 10 years old. He ended up taking his first buck. And he came over and they did the right thing and asked if they had permission. Actually, it was on my neighbor's property. Called my neighbor up. Hey, I'm going to drive over there. No. I called him up. Like, you got to do your due diligence. It's part of it, right? You got to respect people's property. And like the deer fell over on your side. Just I have permission. Sure, make the call. Boom. Let's hop in the Ranger. Lankus support cycles. Boom. Appreciate you guys. Hopped in there, drove him down there. And I was like, hey, this is how we got to track it. Like, don't rush. Like, let's find the blood trail. Where did you hit him? What side? Where was it? Here's the arrow. Found it. You got to mark stuff. Took about 20 minutes. Boom, found it. And it was great. Took pictures of him, brought him back over to the barn, gutted it, rinsed it off. They had a great, and we're talking through it, right?
Did you find him alive or was he down? Was he down already?
He was down.
Okay. I didn't know if you had the strikes. I didn't know if you had to pull it out and get your trail knife out and finish him off.
No, but it was great. The little kid, they sent me the pictures when they got home. It was great. It was great. I was just telling him, hey man, those inner loins, buddy, like put those on the grill, a little bit of oil, some salt and pepper. Buckeyes.
That's pretty great. Well, you know what? That's going to taste good. Losing, Schlegs, however, does not taste good.
No, it does not.
Everybody handles it in different ways. And it's Syracuse. They start off the season really fast, looking good. Fran Brown, though, their head coach, he had a specific way about him. And if we can get the audio on this, Pat, that'd be great. Because he had a specific message for what happens when they lose about shower time.
Honestly, I got like a ritual. Like when we lose, I ain't even getting a shower till early this morning. I just be mad. I just brush my teeth. But it's like I don't deserve soap. I don't deserve to do all that. I'm just focused on like trying to get back and trying to make sure that our players mentally understand and know that I let them down, that they didn't do it. You know, I just wake up all night.
Like, so there's
wake up all night smelling.
Well, and that's the thing, Schlegs. Like, you got to wash off the stank of the loss. Sometimes you just want to bathe in it and let it marinate a little bit.
Just let that scent ferment in there on the plane, just swampage. I remember looking at my watch on game days. I probably did like 30 to 40,000 steps on those days. Like the first thing
when you're a coach or when you're a player?
When I was coaching. When I was
I
a
know
player,
if you played. I know if you played it a lot.
Well, I mean, Bob, it was a long time ago. I didn't even think they had those doomajigs where they can monitor how many steps you had back then. You know, so yeah, this is interesting. This is interesting. I don't know that maybe you deserve the soap, but I believe that all the people around you think that you deserve the soap, right? Or maybe they deserve the soap to rinse your body so you don't have that swampage on that musk. Just think about the flight attendants, you know, especially with the ACC now being coast to coast all over the place. Like, and they're in New York, like those flights, you got to fly everywhere. So now the flight attendant, when they go in, and you know how they do it, where they put the seatbelt across the seat, right? And then there's going to be that sweet line right down the middle from your butt crack. That's kind of gross. Like, hey, boom, wipe right here up front, please. Boom, sanitize that as I cross the belt buckles for the next flight. You know what I mean? Like, think about they deserve it more so than you don't deserve it.
Well, I guess that's true. Sometimes you just want to let it marinate and, you know, just sit there and bathe in the loss, if you will. So you remember a coach that we used to have that used to do a crack swipe with the deodorant? Because that's a way to maybe help alleviate that. You know,
he probably didn't even use his own deodorant. God knowing, I know that guy.
I don't think he did. I saw him the rumor was that he asked to borrow someone's. They turned around and he gave 2 under each armpit and then gave a crack swipe. I mean, so is that something that you endorse too?
Hey, was this guy? Was it this guy?
I don't. Yeah, I mean, no, it wasn't that guy. It was
really?
Another guy. Yeah,
dang it, because he's the first one I'm thinking of that would do that. Because he bumped everybody's dip. He was a dip bumming connoisseur. You guys know what I'm talking about. That guy that's like, oh, he's like, I need some more, right? Boom, and then he would put it back in, and the next thing you know, like he just put his dip in your can, and it's like, no, you know what? You have that though. you're a coach and I'm a player and I'm on a Pell Grant, you go ahead and take that Copenhagen stuff, sir. That's all you.
We always told me, like, if you didn't buy it, it didn't really feel like you were utilizing it. You know, I mean, it was a little bit different. Like maybe that was the case. It kept his conscience clear. But yeah, it wasn't him that did that crack swipe with the deodorant to help keep your cheeks fresh. I mean, I'm not sure exactly what's going on there.
Yeah, that's bumpy. Never
Have
heard
you
of
ever
that.
done that? You ever seen anybody
No,
else?
I've never tried. I will say this. Sometimes if I was coming like right off of a workout and I had to go catch a flight, which I don't like to necessarily do, I like to like shower, and then I'll shower when I get home, like to kind of wash the flight off.
Yeah.
Because of all the stuff that's going on. Like I'm a big time proponent of showering when you get off the airplane. But there have been times, Bob, I will always change the draws and boom, boom. And I might put a little bit on my chest because I don't have like any kind of like body spray or whatever. But that's it. I definitely ain't going down south rubbing a stick of deodorant down there.
Oh,
That's a little aggressive.
where are you at on borrowing people's deodorant?
Never. Like even my kids, like, what are you talking about? Like you got to remember, like I'm an operations guy, like at heart, like that. I believe that's what all strength coaches are. I have an abundance of everything. When I buy soap, I buy 4 soaps. And then once it gets down to 1, like even in my house, it's a Kanban system because I don't want to run out. It's a fact. Listen, man, like I got so many toilet paper, so much toilet paper, so much, and I'm not talking like end of dayers, right? I'm just talking about, I want to know the logistics. They're on the shelf. Everything has a place in its place. Once it gets down to critical mass and we got like 3 or 4 left, guess what? Just order more. We're good. You know what I'm saying? And I don't need to put those up to the front. They can stay back there. That's okay. I'm not worried about the system in that regard. I just want to make sure that I have the necessities readily available, right? Even toothbrushes, toothpaste, deodorant, right? Soap. You got to have it, man. If I'm in there pumping in the bathroom after dropping a deuce and there's no soap in there, that's terrible. Now I got to touch a door handle to go find something. No, it needs to be there.
All right, we got to take a quick break, and I'll try to get us back on track on the Bobby Carpenter Show. Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Bobby Carpenter. I want to give a huge thank you and a shout out to Affinity Whole Health, the leaders in the testosterone replacement industry. I've been on a testosterone replacement program for a few years right now, and I've got to tell you, it's been an absolute game changer. Affinity Whole Health has allowed me to be the best version of myself, both mentally and physically. I loved how easy it was to get started. I booked my free consultation, met with my prescriber, checked my numbers, and Affinity Whole Health designed a program that was customized to fit my needs. So I'm telling you guys, if you have low energy, you want to get rid of that spare tire around the waist or take it to the next level in the bedroom, Affinity Whole Health is the place to get started. So don't wait any longer. 5 minutes of your time, book your free consultation. You're going to love the way you feel. All right, Schlegs. Wins are always big, and we're going to get to some headlines here from our friends at Affinity Whole Health. Affinity Whole Health can help you personalize your health regimen, treatment programs to get you feeling better, whether you're struggling with weight loss, low energy, low sleep, whatever it might be. They can help you with all of it. Their expert guidance will help you safely reach your health goals. So it doesn't matter what's going on. And here's the protocol. Dude at any stage of life. Go to affinityWholeHealth.com. They're going to bring you in, do some blood workup, figure out a program that fits your needs best, whether you want to lose weight, gain some muscle. They got semaglutide, they got TRT programs, HRT program. They got everything for you. They will develop a customized program to you, ship it right to your door. It'll be there in 2 days after you get back. It'll be ready to rock for you, Schlegs. All right, we got headlines. And I guess the headline for me this week, as I'm kind of looking at this game and trying to figure out exactly what it is will there be any type of letdown for Ohio State? And people have talked about that. Will there be a letdown? And we got about a minute and a half, 2 minutes. We're going to get to some tailgate talk quickly before Ben Stevens. Do you see any letdown from this team?
Now, if there was going to be a letdown from this team, we would have seen it last week at home at noon. Going on the road, it's going to be a little different. It's going to be packed with Buckeye fans. It's a kind of a unique environment, so they'll kind of be up for that. But the guys already said they like playing at noon. And again, it goes back to your point, Bob, of the leadership on this team. And I think that's why it was so pivotal for that Penn State game. They know what it takes to play at their best week in and week out, and how that looks at practice and how that looks, acts, and feels during a game, and how each individual leader on this team needs to be able to bring that energy, that enthusiasm to produce that effort that is shown on Saturdays.
Absolutely, Schlegs. Absolutely. Well, quick headlines today. We got Tailgate Talk brought to you by our friends at Real Truck coming up next.
Get the most out of work, life, and all your outdoor adventures with top-selling upgrades for your truck. Guaranteed fit, free shipping, easy install, expert support, and thousands of dealers just a click away. Bring your truck to life. Real Truck. Upgrade today and save between $50 and $400 on select Real Truck products. Visit realtruck.com/specials.
All right, Schlegs, we got some questions here. A couple of football, but a couple of hunting questions in the comments section off last show with yesterday's show with AJ, which is great. You can go back and watch it on the YouTube machine. I would encourage everybody else. It's quite tremendous. So this is from AZ_Tinker_Gamer. And I too have quite the firearm collection, Schlegs. Do you do traditional archery? I dabble a little bit. I want a black window recurve, mainly do Hoyt as my hunting compound bow though. You may have to translate that for the folks.
Yeah, for the folks. Hey, my guy. Boom. We'll just whip out the Doomajink, throw on the Hoyt hat, because I agree with you. I don't get to dabble in traditional as much. I just enjoy archery, straight up, real talk. Got my oldest son into it, got a bunch of his friends into archery. Because again, and I got my younger one, loves shooting his bow, not capable of taking down a deer yet, so he has to use the crossbow. My daughter, I think, wants to get into it. But again, I literally can go out there and just shoot my bow for hours and hours. And I like to shoot long distance because it makes me better up close. And I got my bow to where I can even go back to 100 yards. Now, my eyesight, like those pins get a little blurry when it's so far away. But I just enjoy shooting long-range archery, and it's super fun.
So as they said, caffeine or any type of stimulants will help focus in those eyes to be able to see that long.
Hey, if that's the case, then it's not caffeine, because I do enough right here. This is probably like my third or fourth one of the day. I lost track.
Maybe you got to up it with some Adderall, maybe some cocaine. Turn that thing into a Rick James party. You'll be locked in, dude.
Yeah.
All right. Final question here. Comment. This is coming from YX5881. So I hope we get a ton of reserves in this game for the stretch and also for next year. Rest for Indiana. Help to prevent a little injury. Brandon also tagged on. Yeah, for sure. Want to see more Julian Sayin and all the future linemen. So how important is it, Schlegs, with those talking about that, to get some rest and then also make sure you're get some reps for your young quarterback as well?
Yeah, you're going to have to do that. My guy, Big J, I saw a tweet putting out that Ryan could do this. Hopefully the Buckeyes will be in the outfield as far as, where they're located, because this would be phenomenal, right? I know that halftime they're staying in the bullpen, but it's like, hey, the next series, Julian's going to come in. Yeah, and guess what? go into the bullpen, and he's like, boom, bring me the righty. You know what I mean? And then like he jogs out and there's like music. Like that would be awesome if they had like that kind of, feel to it. But here, back to the question, it is vital. Now you got to go handle your business. They always are going to play probably the first series of the second half if you can get up enough in a game like this. But you do want those guys to get development, not just for the fact of like rest of your guys, but more importantly, should something ever happen to them, they need those live bullets to be able to go out there and understand what it is to play in a game.
Absolutely. That was our tailgate talk brought to you by our friends at Real Truck. We've got a great little giveaway for the loyal listeners of the Bobby Carpenter Show, Schlegs. Whether you're trying to outfit your truck, Jeep, or Bronco, go to realtruck.com. You spend $100 at Real Truck, use promo code Bobby at exit. They're going to get you a free hat. And so interior, exterior, truck, Jeep, Bronco, whatever it is, it's almost holiday time, guys. Go get something for yourself, get something for a friend, keep the hat, give the hat away, give a gift, keep a hat. I don't know. Figure it out. Realtruck.com. Soup it up. $100. Promo code Bobby at checkout. Realtruck.com. Bring your truck to life. Ben Stevens, Sports Grid, guaranteed to make you some cash. Coming up next.
We were called soft last year. You don't want to be soft, especially when you come to the playoffs. So that's going to be a process throughout this season of establishing us as a harder team here in the.
They're off in the Kentucky Derby as Authentic takes them around the far turn. Tis the Laws making his move now, and they're into the stretch. These two stride for stride. Authentic, tis the Law. Here's the wire. Authentic has won the Kentucky Derby.
All right, now please welcome in, as we do every Thursday, Mr. Ben Stevens from Sports Grid Radio. Give him a follow on Twitter, on X, at Ben Scott Stevens. And Ben, we got to give you your flowers. Last week we were talking Bam LSU. You said, stay off the game. I don't like it. I don't have a feel for it. But I think 48.5. Take me over the Milrow run. The good news is by halftime, you're already at the buffet. You could have probably bought another 150 yards and still felt good about life, sir.
It was great, Bobby, because one of the main concerns of betting Milrose over the rushing yards prop was the fact that LSU has been great getting after the quarterback this year, not so much on Saturday night in Baton Rouge, but still, even with some of those prolific runs in the opening half, you're still like, oh God, like 3-4 sacks in the second half, you still might go back down, but the game was such a blowout in favor of the Tide. It was easy money. Now, I will say this. I got tagged, I think, in the video on Sunday or Monday that was like, hey, we're giving out winners. It's all I try to do here on the Bobby Carpenter Show featuring my man Schlegel. So I think had a hat change in the commercial break to run the damn Schlegel. There you go, man. I love that. That is my credo in life. I thought it also might have been for a little bit of the sprinkle of the Ohio State play, if you remember the mention, to win the game via shutout at plus 450.
Yes.
A number that I bet actually live on Saturday in the opening quarter when Purdue was driving and Ryan Walters attempted the 21-yard field goal, and that thing sailed right like my tee shot off the first tee, and we still were able to cash that ticket. So it was a very good day on Saturday, I will say.
It's pretty big time ball. Those were two nice ones. Like you said, the two missed field goals. Sometimes you're given a gift. You got that gift there from the Buckeyes. We'll start off with them again this week. Wrigley Field, Northwestern, 11 a.m. local kick, 28.5 point favorites is what I'm seeing, 43.5 point total. Do you like either of those? Is there anything else you like within this game?
You guys mentioned it there at the end of Tailgate Talk, just kind of the thought process for Ohio State. Now, I don't think many people, or maybe in the history of Buckeyes football, has anybody ever considered a trap spot or a look-ahead spot with Indiana on the horizon. But that, of course, is what we have the second to last Saturday with IU visiting Columbus. So from that perspective, to cover laying more than 4 touchdowns at Wrigley Field in the interesting dynamic that will be football in a Major League Baseball stadium, I don't think the game presents a ton of value. In fact, Northwestern's offense is even better than that of Purdue. So the idea of Ohio State winning via shutout, also not as enticing for a sprinkle. And 43.5 would be the way that I look. I would probably lean to the under if I had to bet the game, just because, again, Ohio State, 6 conference games for the Buckeyes. The defense has remained elite this year, of course, under Jim Knowles. They have gone under in 5 of 6 Big Ten games. The only game over was the loss in Eugene to Oregon. Otherwise, they have been in command and mostly in control, and the total and the point output has stayed minimal. Northwestern was a great underdog last year. Northwestern winning games outright as a double-digit dog. Nobody has more since David Braun took over in Evanston. But Northwestern has also been a double-digit underdog 5 times in their 6 Big Ten games. They have either won outright, welcome to playing Maryland on a Friday night, or they have not covered the number in the other 4. So I'm not even saying the Cats plus 4 touchdowns is the right look. Again, don't think there's a great feel of the game. I think Ohio State already has an eye on Indiana. I don't think it's a trap overlooking spot from that component. Just don't necessarily know, as you guys kind of alluded to, if there might be a backdoor score late to push us over or a cover for Northwestern of that large 28.5-point spread.
All right, Ben. So we're sticking with the Big Ten before we get to like national stuff. Is there any of these games, you have, what do you got? UCLA, Washington, Michigan State, Illinois, Penn State, Purdue. Boom, we got a bunch. Oregon going to Wisconsin. Are there any of these games that really like pique your interest? Like, hey, this is something that, it's not really that big of a game, but something that you should be betting on.
So many games this week, Schlegs, where I think the underdog is intriguing in Big Ten action, except for 2 spots. Oregon going to Camp Randall could be perceived difficult, but we know Dan Lanning's mentality. He leaves no doubt. He leaves nobody to question, are they entertained? They know what they are going to do. Wisconsin this year, as an underdog, has been awful. And that's really one thing Luke Fickell needs to change. They need to start having some of those marquee victories here very closely. They kept it close against USC in LA, ended up not covering that football game, getting blown out in the second half. They got routed by Alabama and Penn State, both as home underdogs. Even the game against the Nittany Lions, I expected it to be close, and the Badgers had a halftime lead and still lost that game by 2 touchdowns. I think Oregon leaves little doubt on Saturday night. And the Ducks don't have a huge game on the horizon. They have the border battle against Washington to end out the year, but that's still multiple weeks away. Speaking of Washington, love the Huskies to cover on Friday night in Seattle. At home, Jed Fish and UW, sensational. On the road, abysmal. But they're at home. Everybody's looking at UCLA. All the credit in the world to Deshaun Foster taking over a very volatile situation late in the coaching cycle in the middle of February. UCLA is covered in 4 straight. I still give the edge to the Huskies. Now, here are the underdogs that I think might make some noise. Michigan State, bet them at plus 3.5 against Illinois. Number now down under a field goal. I think the Spartans might be able to win outright. And I know Nebraska has a new offensive coordinator. We just got word that Dylan Raiola is healthy, recovering from the back injury, an extra week of bye. USC is putting out Jaden Maiava, who is actually really good at San Diego State and might be a better quarterback option than Miller Moss. But the Huskers, as close to a double-digit dog against this USC team, right. I'll take Nebraska and the points, and maybe Nebraska outright to finally get a 6th win in bowl eligibility for the first time since 2016.
It's interesting. You look at USC, they've got Nebraska, UCLA, and Notre Dame. They've got to win 2 of those 3, and I don't know which 2 would be easier, whether it's UCLA or Nebraska. Both of them also fighting for bowl eligibility. We'll see how that ends up turning, Ben. Want to ask you about the big game in the SEC, Georgia traveling to Tennessee. The Volunteers can put the Bulldogs on ice with probably a 3rd conference loss. However, Georgia favored by double digits in this one.
Yeah, it is interesting, Bobby. And again, the component of this game, as we saw on display from the college football playoff rankings, and then the conversation and conjecture after, well, a 3-loss SEC. If that happens, I'm going to start losing my mind, but we'll get to that at a later date. I don't know if the Vols in this spot are the right team to hand Georgia that 3rd loss, that 3rd SEC loss. The status of Nico Iamaleava, the freshman quarterback with a concussion, listed as questionable on the mandated SEC injury report. I'm not sure that gives us any more clarity. It was a 9.5-point spread in favor of UGA earlier in the week. It has now gone above double digits. Listen, I don't believe Georgia is the elite team that we expected them to be, or even I said they were entering the game against Ole Miss. Until I see the Dogs lose to somebody not named Alabama, I would continue to believe in Georgia. Here's one person I don't believe in, Carson Beck, multiple turnovers in all 4 SEC games for the Dogs, where they have been less than a 3-score favorite. Not even like, oh, it's expected to be a field goal game. 3 scores. If it's been 16.5 or less, he has turned the football over multiple times in all 4 of those games. Also, Georgia's running attack has not been there at all, and that was elite the last 3 years. Trevor Etienne is not even the lead back anymore as we expected him to be. And Georgia's defense has actually improved week over week in the last month and a half, as we saw on display against Texas. That was really the first time for that Dogs defense under Kirby Smart to look elite. But they enter yet another conference matchup where they are not the better defense. That is Tennessee, top 5 scoring defense, top 5 total defense, one of a few teams still left holding opponents to less than 100 yards. And if you're going to make Carson Beck throw the football, I actually think that's a recipe for success right now. So without knowing exactly what the Volunteers have offensively, both in uncertainty around injury status of Nico Iamaleava and knowing he hasn't been all that great in SEC play, did look really good in the opening half against Mississippi State before the injury, I lean under, bet it at 48.5. It's come down to 47.5. Defense is the way that with Nico or not, Tennessee stays in the game. And I think they trust their all-conference back in Dylan Sampson, who has been outrageous this year. Ashton Genty gets the looks. Caleb Johnson of Iowa should. Dylan Sampson is right there with them. That's how Tennessee keeps this game close, keeping it under. I lean under 48.5, now 47 and a hook.
I'm going to ask you these, Ben. Big 12, because there's a darling of the Big 12. I mean, Coach Prime's doing some thing, but you also have BYU that was close last week versus Utah. So I'm going to let you pick. You want to go Kansas, BYU betting, or you want to go Utah, Colorado betting? What are you thinking?
So I'll give you the perspective quickly, Schlegs. Colorado 11.5-point favorite against Utah. Have no idea who the Utes are putting out there at quarterback. So thus you can only look at CU, but just the second time that Colorado has been booked as a double-digit fave with Deion Sanders. First time against North Dakota State, they did not cover. However, the Buffaloes have covered in 7 straight, all 6 of their Big 12 games. So you can only look at Colorado, who is now, and this is the perspective, the Big 12 favorites, despite having a loss to Kansas State, who BYU beat. The Cougs are still unbeaten. So what in the world is BYU doing as less than a field goal favorite at home against a 3-win Kansas team? What are we doing? 3-win Kansas team, but 2 wins against the FBS. They've only covered in 3 games for KU. In fact, 3 consecutive games. The odds makers have overlooked BYU at times. We saw it last week, but they were more of a favorite on the road in the Holy War than they are at home in Provo in prime time after the sun sets, and all those good folks out there, BYU, can stay up late because they're not drinking any booze as they enter that stadium, of course. So BYU at home in night games is ridiculous. As we saw, they hammered Kansas State earlier in September. I think this is another spot where the Cougars defy the odds. But here is why Kansas is the most compelling team in the Big 12 in my estimation. They are the most efficient red zone offense in the country, which is nuts. They just put up 46 against Iowa State and beat the Cyclones outright as a 2.5-point underdog. They are great at moving the sticks. They have the 4th best third down conversion percentage in the country, and yet have 2 FBS wins and had not covered until they beat a bad Houston team 4 weeks ago. That's why I don't like betting against or on Kansas. I think it's very weird. I think we see some points in this game, however. BYU over in 5 consecutive. Kansas over in 5 of 6 Big 12 games. And the only game that wasn't over wasn't even under. It was a push at the closing number. I bet it at a better number and then hit the ticket on the over in the Sunflower Showdown against Kansas State.
Love it, Ben. We appreciate the time.
You're amazing.
Beautiful as always. Can't wait to celebrate your wins on Monday.
Let's hope so. I appreciate it, guys. I will talk to you guys again next week.
He's one of the best. Ben Scott Stevens at Sports Grid Radio. Give him a follow on X at Ben Scott Stevens. Coming up Schlegel will close up the show with his parting thoughts.
The Big Play Sports Network. Download the free app today to watch all of your favorite hosts on demand.
I'm Garage Beer, and this is Bobby Carpenter.
Garage beer. Beer flavored beer.
Beef with an F? Okay, my bad. It's crisp and cool, and it doesn't taste like... I'm Bobby Carpenter. I drink in garages because my wife says I don't belong inside. If you like a cold breeze on your bag, drink Garage Beer. It's American, and so can you. Garage Beer. Beer flavored beer. Welcome back into the Bobby Carpenter Show. I'd just like to thank, I was out of tolls, I think Technical School Schlegel today, Career Center, doing some recruiting, talking to some kids out there, young minds, trying to sculpt them and mold them in the right direction while doing some recruiting for Carpenter and Freeland out there combined. So a pretty successful day. I'm always pretty impressed. You know, a lot of people get discouraged by the state of our country. I was encouraged by that. Your parting thoughts.
Yeah, parting thoughts. I mean, Bob, you're absolutely correct. We're going to have a STEM class that's going to come and check out, what we're doing at the Armory, proactive medicine. And kids definitely want to learn. Heck, I'm actually flying out this weekend to speak at the Underground Strength Con, right? Which is going to be super fantastic.
Sounds like a pity party, Schlegel.
No, it's not. Well, maybe, but just with weights and chalk. You know what I'm saying? Here's
Reuben eggs.
Yeah, but we ain't going there. We're just getting bumpy, right? In a positive manner. Here's the cool thing about it. Here's my title. You'll like this. Everything I need to learn, I learned in the weight room. That's my talk, right? It's going to be fantastic. But it goes into young kids, and like even my kids' baseball team guys. Like it was super fun. We were deadlifting 93%, 3 reps. Keep it real. I had some parameters on guys, but you know what? It was like they're sending me videos of it going on because I wasn't there this week and it was part of the program. Juice, boom, crank the 10, back slaps, yeah, buddies, lightweight, like all the sayings, Metroflex, Schlegel style, like it was awesome. Baseball dudes, man, getting after it. They love it. They embrace it. Super fun watching kids develop these days.
All right. Well, that's it for today's show. Stay locked in. Stay tuned in. 12:30 live tomorrow. We got Joshua Perry joining the program. We'll get you ready for this weekend in college football. Talk to you then.